All right, welcome to the Hive Podcast. Brian Wright, Mike Santamaria. Mike, this is your second appearance. You get to be one of the rare people that are on here more than once.
Good to be back. It's been a few years.
It's been a while.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Last time we did a Killer Bee. Today we get to do it in our beautiful new B-Lab facility.
This place is awesome. I love it here.
Yeah. So today I kind of wanted to introduce our new audience to you and what you do, and I really want to explain the value that you bring to Killer Bee, because you are the infamous Dr. Mike. That is the person I group text and call and set up appointments for whenever something happens. You're the go-to. You're the go-to for the joint problems, the sprains, the strains, the brain traumas, all that stuff. I handle the mental and the technical. You handle all the physical issues.
It's been a great partnership. You definitely kept me busy over the last 20 years.
Yeah, that's true. So combat sports does tend to come with its wear and tear, and
Sure.
people show up with their own issues that get exacerbated, and you tend to help it out.
Yeah.
You know, we were talking the other day, and I think it's something that I would like to start off with talking about this. It's not just necessarily the background, but you know, the short attention span people. I think they really have to understand something about Killer Bee and JAG, and the reason why you and I work together so well is that you do have a strong background, which we'll get into in terms of athletics. You have the education. You're an actual, you're a physical therapist. You're not somebody that's doing alternative medicine and then trying to apply it to this. You operate at a high level. Killer Bee, we operate at a high level. And the one thing that benefits our community is that because of the high level in which we operate in terms of the athletes and the level of care we have to provide, me for my athletes to compete UFC and stuff like that, and you for your clients that are coming in with catastrophic issues, all the way to the athletes that are competing, everybody benefits from that high level in which we operate, and it's the trickle down effect from it. So that when you're working with a guy like Hamdi Abdulwahab, who's going to be fighting in Azerbaijan in a month, he's got back pain, but that back pain that comes from training, the level of care that it takes to take a high level athlete and get them ready for a fight is the same level of care that, a local person who's just trying to get through the day is going to get. And I think us having that mutual understanding of skill and the necessity of providing that high level of quality, no matter who you are, if you're, just a regular person walking in off the street to a high level athlete, that's where you and I have always come together and always agreed. And that's why, we've known each other a long time. We went to high school together, but the businesses have meshed because we've just had a really good, merger of philosophies. We both want to provide a high level.
Yeah. Well, I think we have some similarities in our businesses. 95% of the people in your gym are 95% of people in my office every day. They're normal, everyday people. They have regular jobs, show up 9 to 5. They're doing things to stay fit and try to improve themselves. We've got that small percent of population that they're professional athletes, but our bread and butter
think about it,
not that.
So not everybody, but a lot of the conversation around Killer Bee is the athletes. But the thing is, I don't even know if they're 1% of my overall student base.
It's
probably a fraction of 1% that actually competes.
Yeah.
But everybody benefits from the system. And, so if you get 30 people from our gym, they're not the athletes.
Yeah.
It's everybody coming through, because everybody that's doing something physical, and everybody that ages, we all have challenges.
Yeah, well, that's the thing I love about JAG PT. Our goals are what your goals are. From day one, that initial evaluation when you come in, it's very important for us to find out what's important to you. What can't you do? What do you want to get back to doing? And that's our priority. That's how we judge if we're successful or not. Are we getting you back to doing the things you want to do?
So I went overseas early on in life and I started to compete. And when I was going overseas, I'm seeing things that I didn't even know were possible. I'm seeing levels that I didn't know a human body could endure this. I didn't know that we could operate like that. And so early on, I'm going overseas, I'm doing my thing, I come home and I'm seeing there's a huge gap in quality. And that's what led me to open up my first school. And the intention from day one was I want to bring an international level of skill and training to my local community. And that was what motivated me to go from being a competitor to really saying, okay, I want to simultaneously be a coach, and then ultimately I'm just a coach because, you know, that's what I'm best at. And I'm old and I can't fight anymore. Sure. But my thing is, and I've never actually asked you this, and that's one of the reasons I want to bring you back on again. So I know where the genesis came for me. I'm, you know, lifelong martial artist, whatever, but I see it being done a particular way, and I'm doing it, and I come home and it just doesn't exist here. And I said, well, if it doesn't exist, it means I got to build it. And then I built what I built, and 27 years later, I'm still doing the same thing, and we're still operating at international level. What was the thing that made you say, hey, I want to be a physical therapist?
So I went into college as a business major.
Where'd you go to college?
I went to George Mason University, Fairfax, Virginia, and I didn't know what I wanted to do going to college. I said, let me go business. I figure I'll go something in that field. Within the first year, I said, this isn't for me. I'm not interested in these classes. So I changed to psychology. I just thought it was interesting. The classes were interesting to me. They appealed to me. So that's what I went into. So I wrestled in college, and probably a month before I graduated college, my wrestling coach, Mike Moyer, great man, great leader in the wrestling world community, he asked me, he goes, Mike, what are you doing after graduation? I said, Coach, I don't know what I'm going to do. I didn't know what I was doing with the psychology degree. He goes, you'd be a great physical therapist.
Why?
Well, my response to him was, what's a physical therapist? I didn't even know what it was. So he gave me a little bit of a description of it. I said, that sounds pretty interesting.
But why? What's he gonna look at you and say, you would be a good physical therapist?
I've never asked him that question. I'd be guessing. I don't know. He saw something in me. He was familiar with the field, I think. And just, he knew me very well after coaching me for 4 years and spending a lot of time together.
But you go into business. What made you want to go from business to psychology?
Psychology just appealed to me.
But what was the appeal, though? What's the interest?
The appeal was how not only the mind works, but how people communicate, how people interpret things.
Yep.
Yeah, just
so business. So like
attention.
business is cold.
Well, I do like business because as soon as I graduated physical therapy school, within 6 months I opened my own practice.
But business is cold, though. It's just when you're in school for it, it's not dealing so much with people. It's not True. Scratching that itch as much. Because it's kind of funny that you're saying it, though. You go from business, go to psychology, end up in physical therapy. And I mean, we went to CBA, so we come from, you know, a communal type of high school situation. I mean, I guess if I'm going to guess, I think your coach realized you're just good at working with people.
I think that's kind of what it came down to.
And if you look at the shift, you go from high school and college, you know, we are all going to be doctors and lawyers and business people, except me. I went to art school, but you know, you go in there and then you want to scratch that itch about people. So you get into psychology and then you move into this. Cause I've always seen this in you too. Like you're a people person. You like helping people.
I do. Yeah. Shortly after I graduated, my coach offered me an assistant coaching position with him. And that was a turning point for me. Because I liked what he did. I liked the interaction. Yeah. I liked the coaching. I liked the mentoring component. So there's a lot of positive to that. But then when I came back to New Jersey after graduating, I got a job as an aide in a local physical therapy shop. And a woman, Karen Marzulli, who's definitely a mentor to me, she had maybe 5 or 6 offices that she owned. And I worked in there, and literally from day one, I knew, like, this is what I want to do.
You know what's really funny, though? Think about it. So, parallel lines. I go to school. I go to art school for college.
Yeah.
I have that creative side of me. I open up a business so I can continue doing this martial arts side. I love working with people, but the creative side was needed to fuel the gym as well, because you got to create the space. You got to market it. You got to make t-shirts. You got to make flyers. You got to put stuff on the wall. You know, like, I mean, I designed this place. So I get to scratch the same kind of itch. And it's funny because you start off in business, but then you get dealing with people, but you still get to run the business, but it's the business now of what you love to do, which is helping people.
Yeah.
So it's like, that's like the crazy thing is when we're young, we feel like there's a lane we got to go down, but then eventually like all the lanes kind of converge if we're doing it right, and we get to like utilize all of our skill sets.
I enjoy that component of having the business side, the marketing side, and of course treating the patient. I knew for me to be successful, I have to get patients better. I have to establish rapport with the patient, to get them to open up to me about what's going on in their life, especially physically. But that psychology degree comes into use a lot when you're treating patients.
So many people walk in your door and my door with an issue. No one comes, and I don't want to burst the bubble for anybody that's training, but nobody's walking into my gym because they're okay. They're not coming in, like this is not, like this isn't golf. You don't just play golf because you're interested in it. Like this is a challenging thing, and usually you want to be challenged for a reason, and you're trying to figure something out. But the thing that's so funny is so many people have so many defenses in terms of they don't want to let you know why they're actually there. So you get a little bit of it, and I know you're faced with it too, where honesty with clients is tough. Like it's so weird that you're going to someone that's physically there to help you, but you hold back. And you have to like peel the layers back to get to the core of what it is. Yeah. So what?
I love and appreciate them opening up and sharing and trusting me to do that with them. I think it's great.
You know, the biggest banner I have in the gym is trust the process.
Yeah.
Trust is the thing.
Yeah.
But you have to have skills and be a person of value for that trust to make any sense. Because there's a lot of people that ask us to trust because it's transactional. But when you honestly when you have a real skill set that's doing an honest thing for somebody, that's a real value. It's not a perceived value, it's a real value. And I think that the level of skill that I bring to the table, and I think that the level of care that you bring to the table puts us in a unique situation that way. Because I know a lot of guys that pretend to do what your office does, that they have offices that are wellness centers, whatever, that they speak to a lot of things that they say they can achieve, but they don't actually have the education and the background, the infrastructure, the longevity, the track record, none of the things you guys bring. So yeah, when you have this authentic value that you can bring and you can really get people to understand that, then it's like, okay, I have this, you have that, we come together, we work, and then that's where the trust really comes. And I think it's an honest situation. You don't get too many offended people by the relationship at that point.
Yeah, I think that's the number one thing that led me to JAG Physical Therapy was their focus is so much on providing the best quality care, scientific-based care, and they do everything in their power to support that. And that is ultimately what sets us apart. Because if you come to my office, I get you better. You're gonna sing our praises to everybody.
But that's just like being a good human, you know, not just a good business person, you know. And we can spend so much. Okay, so marketing. Everybody talks about like all the different things you do for marketing. We're local businesses. We service our local community. If we're doing what we do correctly, people should be seeing us. I mean, we're in the social media age. If you're following us, if you're seeing what we do, they shouldn't be coming in to figure us out. They should be coming in just to verify that we're not pretending.
Sure.
And that's, when you're good, that's what happens. The worst is when you're pretending for the internet and then you just, nothing's there when they show up.
It doesn't match up.
And that's when you screw yourself. And that's why for me, it's like, we just kind of authentically put ourselves out there. And so when people come in, they're like, wait a minute, that guy in the video actually is teaching class. And that's like, for me, when people need care, I say, talk to Mike, and then they come and see Mike. And that means a lot. And you do have other people in the office, but ultimately your presence is there and it's felt, and people understand that this is a real thing. It's not like we're sending you to an unknown.
And I think they appreciate that. I was a Division I wrestler. I trained in your gym many a days, and I can relate to what they're going through.
Of course. Well, you know, it's funny. People all the time, they're like, why do you know so much about injuries? I'm like, well, I've been injured a lot, but it's funny when you learn how to break people, you kind of understand how to fix them too. So I know all the different pieces that are vulnerable. So like when I see the issues, I'm like, oh, it's because you did that. Yeah. But I mean, Jesus, the amount of people that have been on my mat and the amount of things we've had to deal with, it's, you know, it is what it is.
You see a lot over the years.
You know, the crazy one is, the worst injury I think I've seen to date was my father in a pickup basketball game at Ocean Township Middle School. One year he went in for a layup and his patella tendon smacked into somebody's hip, and the hip cut it like a razor blade, and his kneecap rolled up into his thigh.
I've seen it. That's tough.
Everybody thinks what I do is so dangerous, and I'm like, I actually think our injury rate is rather low compared to most of the other things. Most of the injuries that we deal with are secondary because there was a primary issue that happened doing something else.
Yeah, that's a possibility. I mean, we've seen some big ones, but I can count them on one hand.
The concussions,
The bigger ones,
I'll own them. A couple. I mean, we had a shattered hand, and that didn't even happen at our place. That happened at another place because someone put on the wrong glove and hit somebody in the forehead. That was not my fault.
Okay.
And then we've dealt with a little bit of concussion protocol stuff, but that's just
the concussion stuff happens. Yeah,
and that's only happened with the competitive athletes.
A very high level UFC fighters.
Yes, that's not. I haven't had that issue with
I don't think I've
regular practitioners.
Seen any below that level. Yeah, we had one fighter. He was a UFC fighter, tore his bicep.
Yes, we had the bicep tear.
So he had surgery. He came in and he fought in UFC again.
And we found out that bicep injury was a genetic defect of a shortened tendon that he had, and he had a 80% chance of that bicep tear actually occurring.
I never knew that.
Yeah,
just now.
We found that one out.
Really?
Yeah, because when he went back to get cleared, the doctor said it's probably going to happen to your other arm eventually because you have a genetic issue.
Oh, that's interesting.
And then we had the hamstring tear from a Bellator fight. That one was nuts.
Tore her proximal hamstring off of her ischial tuberosity.
And 80% of the people that have that injury never compete again. She fought for the Bellator title.
Yeah.
After that.
She got back high level.
Yeah.
She was so anxious and motivated to get back. I said, "You're not ready to start rolling yet." And then she was begging me so much. I said, "I'll go in and we'll train together," because I didn't want to keep any egos out or other people that would get too aggressive with her. And obviously she did well and got back to full blast.
And that's one of the things we talk about is that when people are afraid, hey, I'm the worst. You know me. I'm the worst. Yeah. When I'm broken, I don't want to know. I just keep going until it falls off or like it just really doesn't work anymore.
Yeah.
But when we do get ahead of things with people, it works so much better. Like the reluctant nature, you have good health insurance, you have the office there, go find out, go take care of yourself. If you get in early on it, it tends to be way less of an issue than if you wait too long.
Yeah.
It's so crazy how much of that we have to deal with.
You have different ends of the spectrum. You've got people on this side that you have to motivate them. You have to do everything in your power and give them energy to execute what you're telling them to do to get them better. The athletes are typically on the other end of the spectrum. You have to pull the reins in on them. Mm-hmm. They're so fired up. They want to go through every wall they see in front of them and every obstacle that you have to pull them back and say, listen, we have a time frame here. I'm not a magician. You know, there's some healing that's just going to take some time to get through. So that's where you have to really get on the same wavelength with them and lay out the prognosis, the time frame, and give them realistic expectations.
How much of a challenge do you have dealing with the actual science that you provide and then the misinformation that distracts people? Because look, you tell somebody you got to take it easy for a couple weeks, they're looking for every excuse to not take that amount of time. So how much disinformation do you have to deal with? People coming back, you said 6, well, I can do it in 2 if I do this.
A lot of my job is educating. I do a ton of education. So I'll get somebody that comes in with back pain, no injury, they didn't slip and fall, lift something, get in a car accident, just maybe middle-aged, I'm starting to get this pain, maybe I get a little shoots down into my butt, into my leg. Well, what do you do all day? Well, I work a lot. I'm like, do you commute? Sure. How long is your commute? An hour and a half. All right. How long are you at work? 8, 9 hours, sometimes 10 hours a day. What do you do? Well, I work at a computer. So you're sitting about 9 hours a day, and then you drive an hour and a half home. So that's about 12 hours a day of sitting.
With a wallet in your back pocket.
That's probable. And then I'm looking at them as they're sitting there like this. And then I said, well, what do you do to make it better? Well, I do some stretches like this. I said, well, you don't think sitting 10 hours a day like this is enough stretching that way? So a lot of times I lead them to the answer like, well, I've never thought about that. Maybe I should try going this way or maybe stretching this way a little. So I kind of try to lead them to the answer a little bit, but a ton of education.
But even from psychology though, when someone feels that they provided the answer, it sticks better.
100%.
I'm
guilty just as sure as you are too.
Yeah. I mean, we only hear about half of what's told to us and we get skeptical about it when it doesn't like fit into the model that we want. So I mean, and that's the psychology of working with people, is kind of walking them into that spot where it's like, oh, you get it.
Yeah, I love educating them. I love when they ask questions. There's some people that they don't ask anything, just like, tell me what to do. Yeah. Okay, fine, I'll tell you what to do. But there's people that are like, well, what does that mean? How does this work? What is that? And then I'm happy to give that. I love it. I love teaching.
Curiosity is always good, because it shows a different mentality, and that's always easier to work with, because the person that's curious and they're hungry for knowledge and they really want to understand, that gives you such an easier path of getting to where you want to get to. You know, those people are the best. But the challenge of the hard-headed ones too is fun also. I mean, I honestly enjoy the process of having to break through with some people, because the energy that it takes to be that stubborn, when you break through, if you do,
that's rewarding.
That energy, that stubborn energy, when it gets turned into momentum, that person usually level jumps super fast, and that's always fun to see.
They're fun. I'm always up for that challenge. I don't get frustrated with that, because they're coming into our office because they're in pain, their function is impaired, they have a disease, they just had surgery. There's something. They're not coming there for fun. No. They're coming there because they have something negative going on in their life. So I'm going to bring positive energy to them. I'm going to hopefully lift them up. And even if they're whatever mood they're in, I always look at it as like, all right, I'm going to win them over. I'm going to get them. And by the end, hopefully they're happy, and they're singing our praises to everyone.
Yeah, that's where, you know, of course we run businesses and it's transactional to a point, but I sleep at night well, because even though it's a transaction, I think it's an honest trade. You know, it's a real service. It's a quality service that I think is commensurate to what's being charged. And I think that's important. And there's not a lot of that. I mean, when someone's in business for just business, like when it's lacking the personal side of it, the personal satisfaction of achieving something with people, it's hollow and it doesn't last. But I think the longevity for us, I mean, how long have you been doing this now?
27 years.
I'm 27 years in too.
Yeah.
So for both of us, it's 27 years. Yeah. I mean, I actually run into a local business owner that's kind of not a local business owner anymore, sold off a big chunk of his business. Every time he sees me, you still teaching? Yeah. He goes, I don't know how you do it. It's what I do.
Yeah.
It's what I love to do. Like, but I get a lot of people are like, how do you keep doing it? I mean, we're not old, but we're not young. You know, but you know, we've been doing the same thing for a long time, and I mean, I'm good. Like I feel like I can keep going forever. Like there's nothing in me like I want to stop. I don't feel that. I really enjoy what I do.
It doesn't get old. When someone's just had a total knee replacement and they're having buyer's remorse, saying, I volunteered to do this. What the heck did I do to my body? Look at my knee. It's so swollen. Yeah. It's black and blue. I've got 15 staples in there. I'm never going to be the same. I can't put weight on this. I can't bend it. I can't even go up and down stairs. And then just taking them through every milestone. First calming their mind down a little bit and just earning their trust. And then taking them through all those levels. It doesn't get old. It's fun. It's rewarding to see. And then when they leave and they're happy, it makes me, I get a lot of satisfaction out of that.
So that's you. You know, me, I'm lucky. I'm not gonna, it's not the right word. Luck's in the word. It's just like, for me, I'm in my position. I run my own thing. You have JAG. You're part of a larger company. How does I mean, it has to fit or else you're gonna have friction. So how does Mike and JAG work well together?
So for 22 years, I had my own practice, and there were always different businesses, corporations that would send you kind of just letters, hey, you interested in joining up with us, that type of thing. So I eventually started looking into it, thinking maybe exit strategy or the possibility for growth and expansion. And I did my research. I looked at several different companies, and really from early on, it was a no-brainer for me. It was a very easy decision because I felt their values aligned with mine. And to this day, this is 5 years since we partnered up. In those 5 years, it's all come to fruition. Everything they said they were going to do, in the direction they wanted to go, and everything that they told me that they're about 100% spot on. Our visions are completely aligned, and it all revolves around patient care.
Now, you said you're thinking exit or expansion. There's 100% fatigue in this business, in all business. I mean, you're in your 50s, I'm in my 50s. Like, definitely we hit that point, like late 40s going into 50, where that idea of like, what's the next phase going to look like?
Yeah.
And then something comes around, and then you're like, okay, I have momentum again. Is like JAG the thing that brought momentum to you? Because I do remember there was a period where it was kind of like, yeah, you talked exit more than you talked expansion, but I don't know if I've ever known you to be more comfortable with the commitment than you are now. Like,
yeah, you know what it is? It's the people that make up the company. From our CEO, who's a physical therapist, athletic trainer background, continues to treat patients, right on down in the corporate suite. We've got physical therapists just lining it up. And I
you have
think
a team.
It's great to have a team behind you. For me, I had a very small team, being a mom and pop local type of facility, but it was exciting to be on a team, a larger team with like-minded people.
It's so nuts, because every time I speak to anybody that's like really authentically doing what they do, we have the same damn stories, because I'm the same thing. Local gym, doing my thing, you know, we impact our community, we go to this, we go to that, but then you get a higher level guy, or you break through with somebody and then you get momentum. Like, we get to the UFC and it's like, we go from, yeah, I don't know, I'm kind of good, and then you're like, no, I'm really good, now I want to bring 5 more. You know, it's like,
sure,
the momentum goes, and then it's just like, yeah, you get ramped up with it, and it's really hard to stay connected with the purpose and everything with life and all that. You have kids, I have kids, like, sure. You know, your daughter went to Annapolis, that's heavy, that's like, that's wild. But I mean, so you have these massive family commitments and all this, and you've got this business, and you've got the ups and the downs, you have the positives, but we were talking about the challenge of breaking through. That's a pain in the butt some days, and it's an amazing challenge on others. And like, it's hard to figure out when you're doing it alone. Some days it gets a little lonely, it gets a little rough, but then the momentum comes in, then the team starts to develop, then you've got more people around it. The belief doesn't go away, but the belief intensifies again. And I can say that, knowing you, and I would say over the last few years in particular, your enthusiasm for what you do, it's never waned, but like, you can see, like, it's different. Like, there's a higher level of comfort with you now. Like, I don't know, I can't really fully articulate it.
Sure.
But like, you definitely are in like the sweet spot of your space.
I'm in a good spot because I still love what I do, and I'm learning. I think that's the key for me. Even though I've been doing this 20 plus years, I'm still learning. I'm learning technically. My skills continue to improve, and I never want that to end. There's a continuing education class.
But that comes because you got a lot of people around you too. So you have more knowledge around you. So now you have a reflection to be able to say, oh, maybe I could pull from different areas. 100%. When you're sitting when you're trying to figure it out yourself and you're not looking at anything except your own mirror, you only see what you see. But then when you have the influence of other high level people around you, that really changes it.
Yeah, so in the beginning, it's sink or swim, figure it out, or they're going to go somewhere else and they're going to figure it out. So yeah, you get answers, but I much prefer to. I had a patient the other day with an issue with the hand. I called up our lead hand therapist in the company, and this woman is highly skilled, 10 times better than I could ever dream of. Within 5 minutes, I'm texting her back and forth, getting some answers.
Yep.
But that's every department we're in. If I have somebody coming through with a pelvic health issue, I've got an office for that. When you have a therapist for that.
When you have a high level, but when you have a question, and then you have the ability to answer it, that process opens you up to more opportunities and things. I mean, so Hamdi's going to be fighting in Azerbaijan June 21st. We're like, I don't know, what are we, 5 weeks out from that? Mm-hmm. We're fighting a guy from Killcliff. It's Mohammed Usman. His brother is, the other Usman, who is the 170 champ. They've already touched gold. Mohammed's won the Ultimate Fighter, training at Killcliff, which is one of the mega teams in the sport. And so it's like, okay, our gym in Oakhurst, taking on the behemoth gym, taking on like guys that have been there. Muhammad's 11-4, won the Ultimate Fighter, high level. Hamdi's, I don't even know what we are, 6-1 right now, something like that.
Yeah.
So like we're 7 fights deep. This dude has more fights in the UFC than Hamdi has fights total. Cool. But the challenge of that, the opportunity to take that on, the level of attention to detail that you have to have, that's what makes it fun. Now it's like you have to expand. You can't be complacent. You can't be comfortable. This dude's career is dependent upon my input. You know, their ability to physically function. You see that and you say, to get this hand to work, I got to make that call. Like, and I'm going, okay, to beat this guy, I got to bring this in. I got to look at this. We got to. And I think these are the challenges that when you come at them from a caring place, where again, we're always trying to stay as valuable as possible for these people when we're maintaining that, and then we're expanding that circle and we're elevating the challenges. I think that's what's cool. And again, experience at 20-something years old, I don't know if we had I think the audacity is higher than the humility at that point, and like you don't hear as much and you try and take too much on yourself or whatever, where now it's like you just want to win, you don't care how.
Yes, I learned that as a parent, as a father of 3. I can't be everything to my children. I want to be, but if I can't be it, I'm going to put them around people that can give them that can educate them in it, can show them different ways of thinking and doing. So same for you. Like you want to put the best team assembled to get the best result.
Yeah.
Like if you can't get excited for what Hamdi's doing, I know you're excited. You know I'm excited. I will put my heart and soul into getting him as ready for my end that I can, just like you do and will.
Well, we know what's on the line for him.
Sure.
We know the weight of the opportunity.
Big time.
You know, a UFC fight is the Super Bowl every time. People don't understand that. Somebody said to me, "Oh, it must be great to be a fighter. You only fight 3-4 nights a year, and it's only for 15 to 25 minutes." And I'm like, okay, so you put in 40 hours a week, 50, 51 weeks a year.
Yeah.
So you screw up on Monday, you can fix your performance by Friday. If we screw up in August, we're going to be ridiculed by the internet until December or January.
That's right.
And then hear it, all of it, on fight week. So we're going to hear it for months, and then on the 5 days that we're in town for that fight, we're going to hear it all again, amplified, asked, dissected, and then and then forget about it if anything weird happened in a previous fight. The one guy I'll never get over is, do you remember Sean Salmon got knocked out by Rashad Evans?
Yeah.
That was the opening of the highlight reel for every UFC for like 5 years.
Yeah.
Do you imagine being that guy?
Oof.
You literally can't watch pay-per-view without seeing you get strings cut knockout.
Yeah.
Like, okay, 3-4 times a year. But what we're risking is ridicule for the rest of our lives.
Yeah.
I mean, something weird happens, you may never live it down. You become a meme. Like, it's wild. So the amount of pressure and what they have on the line, the life-changing opportunities that they have, both positive and negative.
Yeah.
And that's why it's really important that we do everything we can to put these people in the best position, because they got to live with this.
Agreed.
I can move on to the next guy, but in the back of my head, I'm always going to have what I did there, and I don't want that. I don't want 3 o'clock in the morning going, I woulda, shoulda, coulda.
Yeah. Well, here's where I think you and I are on the same page. You'll give that same energy and enthusiasm to that 32-year-old mother of 3 that wants to come here to get her body back and get in shape and get strong again. And I'll do the same for that grandmother that wants to pick up her grandchild. You'll put the same energy into that person.
But that's also, I think that it's always been there, because we always took pride in our business. But as we get older, I think we do understand that the same challenge that a guy like Hamdi's facing, fighting on TV, is the same challenge that the 32-year-old mom has trying to pick up her kid. It's like one's televised, but the level of importance doesn't change.
Yeah.
Like, we all have to live with the ramifications of our choices, and they're not diminished because of the popularity of it. And that's, for me, people a lot of times are like, you must live for the fights. I'm like, no, I live for the improvements in people.
The progress.
That's all the guy that was sitting in his car and crying for a week before he came in, and then was like shaking when he gave me his information to sign up, to see him get comfortable in a week or two, and then see him make progress in months, and then be with us for years. Those are the moments where it's like, okay, now we're really doing something.
Yeah.
Now we're really doing something. It's funny. I'm going to bring something up that I mentioned the other night. I think it's an important thing, and I think it is something that you deal with too. So no one should be coming to either one of us to make this their thing. Like, you need to come in, you need to fix your issue, and then you need to take your fixed self and go out in the world and take the better version of you that we created and go do positive things with it.
Oh, totally on the same page with you. My goal, and I'll tell the patient this on day one, my goal is to empower you.
Exactly.
The sooner I get you healthy, better educated on how to deal with this if this comes up again, how to prevent this from coming up again, the better off. I don't try to keep you in for any longer than you need to be in there. If I can get you to a really good place in 7 visits, then you're going to be that much happier being out of there and on your own sooner.
I don't want to have a lifetime relationship with your office.
Yeah.
My business, you can have a lifetime relationship with us.
Yeah.
But I don't want this to be the place where you come and you wall off everything. And like, this is where your social group is. This is where your family connection ends up being. This is where, you try and work. I don't want this to be your work, your play, your family, your everything. I want it to be the well where you come and you get what you need so that you can go out and you can create a larger sense of community in the world and you can create better things in the world. That's ultimately the value. And it's a problem. I see it with people that get chronic injury at times. The injury kind of becomes the focus. They kind of get addicted to being hurt because it gives them purpose, because they don't feel it in other areas. So they're always looking for help because they're getting something that they need. So it gets to be a weird thing sometimes, but that can happen. But for us, sometimes you get people that never found their place, and then they feel like, oh, Killer Bee is my place, but then it's the only place they go. And that's a trap. You can't do that.
Yeah, I mean, at JAG, I think the culture there is very good. It's very good energy between the front desk, the admin, the therapist, the aides, everybody that works there. The team aspect is very strong, and I think that feeds off on the patients. So I think it helps in their recovery process. It's a joy for them to come in and be around positive, uplifting environments, working with people that are skilled, have good interpersonal skills, and truly enjoy what they're doing. So I think it's part of the rehab process. But like you said, our goal is to get you better, empower you, and get you on your way.
Yeah,
100%.
Yeah, like, you have to be part of the success. You can't be the comfortable place, and that's that's a challenge that I think any business is dealing with. People that's trying to help them get better at something, because sometimes they find this is the only place that they get better, or the only time they feel comfortable challenging themselves. More so on my side than your side, but yeah. I'm sure it is getting through to somebody that it's like, look, you shouldn't be in therapy forever. Like, your knee's going to get better. Like, you got to get out there and you got to try and do something with it.
We collect data on it. We take data on, that's a functional outcome tool. It's a form to fill out on day one, a bunch of questions, depending on which body part they're being seen for. And then 4 weeks later, we'll do it again. And you punch these numbers into the computer and it spits out a number. We want to see that number improve, obviously. Just the same thing, that we'll get some patient satisfaction surveys. You get them 2 weeks after your initial evaluation, and you get them a few weeks later. And so we want to track functionally how they're doing. Are they making progress or not? And how is their experience? And those are two very important things.
Yeah, it's human dynamics. It's so funny. Again, I've had the same conversation with my barber as I've had with you. And like, whenever you're dealing with people on a day-to-day basis, it's always, we're trying to get them comfortable. We're trying to get them into a better position. Mm-hmm. We're trying to give them tools to basically have a better quality of life that's beyond our borders. And, that's the thing. And the best business people I know really do embrace that side of it. And they really do the success factor for them is not the accumulation of wealth. It's the accumulation of people that have bettered themselves through the process that we provide. And the other stuff comes.
Yeah.
But that's like the side benefit. If everything got taken away, say something happens, right? And your business you're not in your business anymore and you have to move somewhere else. Don't you feel confident that literally we could drop you anywhere and within days you'd have clients?
I think so. Yeah, absolutely.
And that's not even a skill set. That's just having an ability. That's having a mastery of a job and having a passion and a purpose for it. And that sells itself.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll agree with you on that. So, I mean, JAG's mission is to provide the best care, best physical therapy care. They have over 160 locations, mainly New York, New Jersey, and some in Pennsylvania. So we want to make it easy to get to. If you're coming in 2 or 3 times a week for a couple of weeks to a couple months, we got to make it easy to get to. Got to make it convenient. We're in network with almost all the insurances, so we really want to have that accessibility thing there, and not only access, but access to the best. And that's why they put so much time, resources into recruiting the best people, and then also educating them, retaining the best people.
And I mean, for me, I think that the most important aspect of this is that you're bringing a lot of, the reason we go to you is not because we're familiar. I mean, I have a lot of friends in what recovery and wellness space, but I don't use any of them because they don't get anything done. They say they are, but nobody actually gets better. You're the only person that is never missed. You've never missed. Every injury I've ever brought to you has been healed as far as it could possibly be. I don't think I've ever had anyone come to you and not be able to compete again. And we've had a couple catastrophic issues.
Yeah.
And no, I've never had anyone not be able to give it a shot again.
Yeah.
And if they were in that territory, it wasn't because you could. It wasn't because you didn't have the skills. It was because their body was just that bad.
Listen, you just tell me that. 1, thank you, and 2, I genuinely appreciate that. Like, that makes my heart happy. Like, that's why I'm in this business doing what I'm doing, to get that kind of response.
But that's why we work together.
Yeah, I agree.
And you trust me that I'm not sending. You know that the only person that I damage really bad is me.
You're the one patient I don't want to see. You know, listen.
Yeah, I'm the only one. I don't eat my own dog food. I'm the
In
worst.
your defense, for a living, you hold pick shields and pads for very strong, powerful people.
Big, heavy.
You put in crazy reps.
So Hamdi went to another gym. So Hamdi, for those that don't know, just look him up. He's 6'1", 6'2". He's pushing 300 pounds, 3-time Olympian, 15-time All-Africa champ. Like, I mean, this is a beast of a human being. You agree with me that
Sure.
Hamdi's scary.
Yeah.
I don't know if I've ever seen anyone this big move this fast. Like, it's insane what he can generate. So he went to wrestle at a place, and the coach was like, trying to fancy himself as a kickboxer. He was like, hey, let me hold some pads for you. They went 2 minutes, and he literally puts pads down, and he goes, go back to Brian. And Hamdi was like, what are you talking about? He goes, I can't, man. And he goes, how many rounds do you do with him? He's like, oh, coach and I go like, I don't know, 5-6 rounds. And he's like, how long? He's like, 5s. Like, we go 30 to 40 minutes at a clip on the pads. I mean, You see my knee braces jumping from knee to knee. He hits me so hard that I have to brace my back leg because when I'm catching the pads, the impact going back on my support leg is so great that it's blowing my knee out.
Yeah.
So I had to go get I'm wearing an erector set on my right knee because that's my bad knee.
Yeah.
So I'm like, this is ridiculous. Just catching that weight is blowing my knee out. But my shoulder, my neck, my back, it is what it is. But look, I knew what I signed up for. I understand. So I don't sit here and I don't complain about my pain.
Yeah.
I'll talk about it because it's there.
Yeah.
But I don't complain about it.
You're not a complainer. No one wants to hear it.
But my pain also, I kind of have a smile on my face about it because I earned it. Like, my pain comes with a track record of achievement. So like if I was hurting myself in a coal mine, I'd be pissed off. But I'm not. I'm fortunate to be kind of living the dream for somebody in my position. So yeah, oh, poor me, holding pads for a UFC heavyweight. Wah, wah. I got to go to Riyadh. Wah, wah. I'm going to Azerbaijan.
Yeah.
I'll take it. If that's the price I got to pay, I'll take it.
Fair.
Day in and day out.
Agreed.
Yeah. And my kids are watching. And I want my kids to understand when you have a dream, sometimes you got to sacrifice for it.
You're setting the example by doing it.
And I've tempered myself too, because I do want to be able to play with my kids. It's important for me to be able to pick up my kids. So I've taken that into consideration for sure. My kids are young. Your kids are a lot older than mine. My kids are 6 and 12, and I'm 51. And I'm looking at this going, man, I want to see them get older, and I don't want them to be pushing a wheelchair. So I do have to take care of myself to a degree.
I agree with you.
Yeah.
100%. So, same here. Same motivation. I want to be around as long as I can. Quality years.
I don't know if this neck of mine's
that could give you some problems.
Gonna hold up forever, but that's my bad one.
I have plenty of patients that come in. I can't do X, Y, Z. I have arthritis in my knees. I can't squat. Well, how do you sit down? I just sit. Well, that's squatting. And this goes back to the education component. We want to strengthen everything. The stronger you are, the better you are.
Well, that's
going to be.
I mean, that's the one. I don't care what anyone says. You talk about, we get fatter as we get older, menopause, all these different things people throw out. And I'm like, it doesn't stop you from getting stronger.
Yeah.
Just keep getting stronger. Like getting stronger, the more muscle you have,
I agree,
the better you're going to age. There's not a single study available that's going to tell you that being stronger is bad for you, or attempting to be stronger is going to screw you up. Like, get out of here.
That's a misconception I deal with all the time. I'll give them an analogy. If you take an Olympic sprinter, muscled up, all quads, they jump off of here, they land like a cat. Those muscles can absorb the impact. I said, you put a frail 85-year-old man up here, no glutes, no quads, he jumps off, those bones are crushing together.
So I had a guy, he's a evolutionary biologist. I ran into him at a UFC event. He was like friends of a friend, and this dude was like just spouting off really interesting facts because he was like all into this fight or flight thing. But one thing he talked about, because there was an older dude in the room and he said something to him about how we've evolved. So what's the number one thing old people get worried about is they don't want to fall. You don't want to fall, you don't want to break your hip. So he's going, okay. So when you're young, you have a much easier path to develop cardio, but our cardio diminishes as we get older. Our ability to maintain cardio diminishes, but our strength doesn't diminish into our 60s. And people are like, oh, but muscle and da-da-da. He goes, no. We're designed to work on our strength as we get older, because that's what we need to stay stable and not fall over and break that hip. You have to be able to get up off the floor. Then he was explaining, and then I looked it up and it was true, that they have the test where if you can get off the floor without using your hands, that's a very good barometer on what your longevity is going to be. Because if you don't have the ability to stop yourself from falling or get up when you do, I mean, you're going to die in the wild. So that's how we evolved. It's like we evolved in a way to keep ourselves mobile and strong through our later years.
Yeah, I mean, that's a simple test. I have my patient sitting in front of me. Let me see you stand up.
Yeah. Yeah.
Can you stand up without using your arms? They don't have the strength. We know what we have to work on. We have to work on that strength. So a misconception, more common in women, I don't want to do strength training. I'm going to get big muscles. I've been trying to get big muscles for 40 years. It still hasn't happened.
My wife's the best on that. Because, I mean, my wife is... she's a bodybuilder. She does the shitty stuff. But, women all the time ask her for nutritional advice and training advice. And they're like, oh, I don't want to eat protein because I'm going to get big and bulky. I don't want to lift weights because I'm going to get big and bulky. And she laughs. She's like, I'm literally working hours a day and trying to get big. And I'm struggling. Yeah. Like, do you think I'm big and bulky? And they're like, no. And they're like, she's like, well, I'm trying to be big and bulky. And it's hard to get big and bulky. Yeah. But in the attempt of getting big and bulky, okay, I'm burning more calories. I am putting on muscle mass. I do have better flexibility. I have better cardio. I can do everything better. Quality of life is just dramatically better by the effort in attempting to. And that's why I just laugh. Like I used to manage a health food store on Brighton Avenue in West End, manage a health food store. I used to sit there and I used to read Muscle and Fitness, and I'm looking at Dorian Yates and Arnold Schwarzenegger's like classic poses and all this stuff. And I'm looking at these guys and I'm not understanding that you can't look like that unless A, you're on gear, and B, you have to eat like a massive amount of calories.
You train very hard.
Yeah, you have to train impossibly hard, eat a massive amount of food, and then rest a tremendous amount. Like, you don't eat salad and get bigger. You don't do a deadlift and then get legs like these guys. Like, it's a process. Yeah. It's a process.
Well, that's the fun part. I'll listen to them. I'll listen to their concerns. I'll mirror their statements. I'll let them know I hear you. I understand what you're saying. But then I'll just gradually start showing them some things, and 99% buy in, and then they reap the benefits of it, and then they're enthusiastic about doing it, and hopefully they can establish a habit that they continue to do long after they're done with me.
I always focus on performance over aesthetic, because when people a performance metric is so much easier to track, and the actual feeling you get from that is something that you live with differently. Like, you can look in the mirror and you can see pictures and you can feel one way, but when you actually see yourself performing differently, and when tasks are getting easier and your duration is longer, and like just you're sleeping better and everything's better, the aches and the pains are going away. Yeah. Like, that's the goal. That's the quality of life. It's not the quality of your pictures. It's the quality of your freaking life that we're looking to make better. And that's when you get them to buy in. When they do recognize that, like, because again, too, I think a undervalued aspect of what we do is the depressing nature of injury and failure that people come to us with at times. And then when you make people feel like something they thought was impossible is now possible, like my back's never going to get better. I'm never going to have the confidence to. We deal with this constantly. You and I both deal with this all the time. So you have to give them the confidence to try to get over the hurdle. And then when you do get over the hurdle, the momentum that gets for people is different.
Yeah, I mean, we try to objectify and have data. So it's some black and white information. Say you have a balance issue. Let me see you stand on one foot. How long can you stand without having to touch down or touch the other foot down? Okay, you did 2 seconds. Let's compare it to the other side. Okay, 3 seconds. My goal for you in X amount of time is I want you to be able to stand on one foot without touching anything for 30 seconds. So they're like, I'll never be able to do that.
It's crazy how 30 seconds seems so long.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I had a fight, I'll never forget, 1999, I'm fighting in Denver, and I'm in the last round, and I trained completely wrong. I had a guy who was a offensive line coach for the Detroit Lions, was doing my strength and conditioning. I could have played football, but I couldn't fight because I had no cardio. I was strong. My technique was great. I was really, really strong, and I was super explosive, but I had zero cardio, and I was in altitude. So I'm I'm in the last round. I'll never forget the referee goes, 30 seconds. And I looked at him like, that long? It was like he told me I had to run a marathon. Yeah. I was like, I don't know if I can do this. I was like, it was this overwhelming sense of, it was just like, oh my God, that is forever. That's an eternity. And it's funny though, like when you say 30 seconds, you're like, it's like that. But when you're in a bad way, 30 seconds is an eternity.
Unless you've done it, you can't relate to it unless you've been in that situation.
Yeah. Well, when like you're in pain and you tell somebody you got to stand on one foot for 30 seconds, that feels like you asked them to do it for a week.
Yeah.
But then after a while, 30 seconds is nothing. But that's the cool part. When you see an obstacle that's really not that much of an obstacle as this massive obstacle, and you're giving them the tools to overcome it.
Yeah.
Because again, hey man, I'm the first one. I avoided my first knee operation like the plague. I had a figure 8 tear in my meniscus in my right knee. My knee's blown up every training session. I could barely walk in the morning. Complete nightmare. I had a fight booked. I was supposed to fight for Rand Combat in Atlantic City. I'm like 23, 25. I think this was before I opened up. So I'm like 22, 23 years old. I'm running. I couldn't sleep because I had a problem when I was not eating a lot. I couldn't sleep because my heart rate would get up. So I would get up and I would try and run to calm myself down. I don't know if that makes any sense, but
Right.
I'm running on Ocean Avenue. I lived in Allenhurst. I hit around Monmouth College, but I'm down by the water, like the road that runs up there. I think it's Park Ave. I hit like Park Ave. So I'm pretty far away from Allenhurst, and my knee locks up. It's middle of the night, mist coming off the water. I feel like I'm going to get hypothermia. I have to hobble all the way back.
Right.
I get back at like 4:30 in the morning, and I literally called the doctor right there, and I left them a voicemail. I said, book me for as soon as you can. I'm good to go. Because they're begging me to get this done. And then, because I'm like, I'm never gonna be the same. You operate on me, I'm gonna limp for the rest of my life. I was so scared of the fix.
Yeah.
But I'm living with this horrendous pain, and it's screwing my career up at this point. My quality of life is trash. I'm not training good. I'm depressed. And then I had this moment where I was just like, I got to do it. I just have to do it.
Yeah.
I canceled the fight. I went in and got the knee done. And I remember I came out of surgery and I'm in the recovery room, and I was like, I literally can tell my knee is better than it was. Like, I could just tell. I was like,
Yeah.
I feel better right now than I did going in. And then like 6 weeks later, I fought 6 weeks after because I'm an idiot, but I fought 6 weeks later and I was like a completely different person. But the mental shift of getting over it, and that took me, I'm not averse to getting fixed anymore. Like, and then it would be like, oh, you gotta get this fixed. Okay, good. When can we get it done? But like the hesitation I had to fix myself, because I thought the fix was going to damage me forever, because I had this weird misconception in my head.
Oh,
and you know, so like it was this insurmountable problem. I was like, I'm just going to limp forever. And
we see that a lot when the patients come in. We're dealing with this as much as the physical, and not that they need to submit to it, but they have to be.
no, you have to submit to reality.
And they have to be open that I have expertise. I'm going to train the proper amount of volume, the frequency, the intensity of the training. We're going to blend that to get you to the finish line or start line, depending on how you look at it.
Yeah.
And keep in mind, say you're a neck injury, you're a fighter. You need combination of mobility and stability. You need enough mobility to slip a punch. You need enough stability to, if you're in a bridge situation with somebody's body weight on top of you, you need the strength to stabilize.
Let's make it even more simple than that. You have to be in a position where you don't lose because you didn't take care of yourself.
Yeah.
I mean, we ignore our issues, and then we're in the last round, and it doesn't go well because the thing we ignored comes crashing back in.
Yeah.
I mean, my retirement fight, my neck went in the last round. That was a lifelong, that was a life of abuse caught up with me. I couldn't even pick my hands up. My neck was so bad.
Yeah.
My neck went out like a round and a half in, and I had to finish 5 rounds. And I just was like, I remember my corner was like, yo, you gotta keep your hands up. I was like, I can't raise my hands. I literally couldn't raise my hands because I couldn't get them up because my neck hurt so bad. But I didn't care. I was fine. But yeah, like the choices we make will catch up to us if we don't take care of them. And that's why it's important that we have people around us that are going to keep us in check, so that the challenges that we take on are appropriate to the things that we can do. And that's the trust factor. Again, I mean, I get people all the time come in and they tell me they want to do things that they know they're not prepared to do. And I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm not going to let you do that with me because I don't want to be a part of your failure. Like, I don't want you to do this thing that's going to, that could have a really negative impact on the rest of your life. And then, I mean, you probably get people coming in too that they have inappropriate timelines in mind, or they have alternative methods of trying to approach something, or, you know, they don't want to face what's actually wrong, but you're providing them the real pathway, and you got to break through.
Yeah, I will give a realistic timeline to them. And I'll also try a big picture for them. If you're a middle school athlete, they don't want to hear it, but this doesn't mean anything. High school is going to mean so much more. If you're a high school athlete, college is going to mean so much more. College athlete, pros. So it depends where you are in life. First of all, I want you to, if you're a 20-year-old athlete, I want you to have 70, 80 more years of healthy function in your life.
Yes.
And then we'll start pulling it back a little bit.
You know what's cool though? So like you walk into Killer Bee, got all the posters on the wall. I'm not a collector. Mm-hmm. Those are event posters. So when you walk in and you see the 15 UFC posters, those are events we put people on. So if you're going to ask me, do I understand the pathway? It's right there.
Yeah.
That's my doctorate. Yeah. You know what I mean? But so when you walk into an organization like yours, you're not dealing with somebody that got like the university or whatever online's nutritional diploma or fake whatever, and they have really interesting ideas. But you're walking in, there's a track record, there's a history, there's accreditation, there's education. Like, it's obvious. And that's what I think too, is like, it would be very hard for me to walk into your office and tell you what to do, because the writing's literally on the wall.
Yeah, I would think of coming in here and correct your technical coaching to someone.
But it happens. It happens.
Well, yeah.
But, but it happens, like, people come in, they have the ideas. But the thing is, it's like, when you walk into a credible place, it's obvious you're in a credible place. When it's not like they have gadgets and toys and toolboxes, but they literally have 27 years of history doing it right. They've gotten people just like you to exactly where you want to be. Just shut up, trust the process. Let's just get this done.
That's why I'm with JAG Physical Therapy, because we're on the same page with that.
Yeah.
And as much passion as I have, especially towards athletes, specifically wrestlers, MMA athletes, we have that in every component of physical therapy.
Yeah.
Whether it's someone who loves TMJ issues, someone who treats vestibular issues, someone who treats scoliosis, and you just go right down the line. There's somebody in there, and that's what's great about JAG. They see that, they create an environment where someone's comfortable saying, hey, I'm interested in this, and they'll support it. And then before you know it, you're an expert in that area.
And that's why, I mean, for us, like, the two phrases that we throw around the most are, number one, you got to trust the process, and number two, you got to do the work. Those are, and then the third one we have is, you've got to stay humble, stay hungry. You got to be humble and you got to stay hungry. But for you and yours, like, trusting that process and doing that work, those are the key components. If you come in, if you listen and you do what you're told and you consistently do it when you're supposed to do it, I mean, it's you have a very, very high probability of getting yourself where you got to be.
True.
And again, it's confidence game, man. It's breaking through the noise internally and externally to get someone to trust that process and give you the opportunity to do your job. And when they do, it works. And that's, honestly, it's why we're sitting here. I wanted to bring you in to have this discussion again, because there's just every generation of athletes, every generation of members coming through. We're always getting people running into stuff. You're my go-to guy. You've always done right by everybody. And I think, more importantly, it's not even just the people in my gym, but I think the message overall is the same. I mean, for someone that's starting out, it's, again, when we're young and we feel like there's a narrow lane that we have to focus on, okay, that might be an aspect of us, but you can't ignore the totality of who you are. And hopefully you can be open-minded enough to put yourself in a position where you can kind of scratch all the itches. And I think it was really telling today to say, I started off in business, moved to psychology, and then somebody recognized something in me and said I should be a physical therapist. It's really funny, because as knowing you tell me business, and I'm looking at it going, oh, there wasn't enough like helping people. And then you get into psychology where you're now flirting with helping people. And then someone sees the helper in you and says, no, go help people. And then there you are. But then you turn around, you do it in a way where you open up your own practice, and then you develop your practice, and then you incorporate it into a company like JAG, which, as much as it's a large outfit, it's got that entrepreneurial thing. It's not a lifeless, soulless company. That's why I like, having the
that brand is built on establishing ties within the community and being your mom and pop clinic, but on a bigger scale.
But working with a lot of people like you. Like it's not a army of, box checkers. It's like, they have a really nice community of professionals that provide a great service, and collectively you've got a great company now. And I think that's the cool part of it. And again, it's like, I think somebody starting out in business, it's a really interesting path to study. For you and me both, I think that, having an idea in the beginning of where we think life's going to go, and then leaning more into like feelings of it maybe being something else, and then pulling it all together. That's always where I try to inspire, because I do get a lot of young guys come in, especially now, young men in particular, they're education averse. They don't feel like the world's really the best situation for them. But I'm like, man, our educational background is different. We had ideas of where life was going to go, and then life went where it went, and we built really cool things off of it, and we have really good families, and like we're in good situations. And it wasn't a rigid path, but it was a path that just stayed true to who we were. And I feel that education is important. You can't do what you do without education.
True.
If I didn't have people that taught me the things I know, I never would know them. I wouldn't be operating where I'm a lifelong student. And I think, for a lot of these young people to see the path and to see that there is a light to the end of the tunnel if you invest. Don't just have fun. Invest in yourself and have faith in the fact that if you do have a value, you can create a life off of it. And I think that's really important.
Yes, I mean, it's smart, very intelligent, the education component, and it can be both ways. You know my sons, I have twin boys, Dominic and Rocco, they're 25. They didn't go to college. After high school, the business they started, digital marketing agency, Colossus Media Group, they're crushing it. They're absolutely loving what they're doing. And then my daughter, she went the opposite way. She went to the Naval Academy. She's an officer in the Navy.
But they're doing things that's true to them.
100%.
And they wouldn't have the ability to do that if you didn't do it. Or they do. They would. I'm not saying that they wouldn't. But it wouldn't be a family affair.
I let them choose their paths. I, as a young adult or a young father, I'm thinking, oh, my kids are going to go to college. They're going to go to CBA, the same high school we went to. They didn't do any of those things. So I'm happy I did not push them into what I thought was right for them.
I stopped teaching kids class when my kids started taking kids class because I didn't want to be dad, coach, everything. My kids are obsessed with my business and my sport. I mean, they love the fact that dad what he does, and every kid aspires. But at the same time, the skills the opportunities that we provide for them by just doing the things that we do the way we do them is really important. And I think, I think we both understand that being examples is important. The ups and the downs that we've gone through and all the things that we've done to get to where we are.
Yeah.
But we're in a position where our kids do have a roadmap in front of them that's optimistic. Because we've figured out a lot of things that are really good. I mean, it's not perfect.
Sure.
We've screwed up a lot.
Absolutely.
We've both done it.
Learn from the mistakes.
But
carry on.
But we always land on our feet in a better position than when we started. And for young people to see that is really important because at 18 to 24 years old, failure feels like it's never going to go away or that it's like a stigma. And they don't man, even with fighting, you don't have to be undefeated to be the champ. You just have to get the opportunity to fight the champ. And if you can beat him, you're going to be champ. You don't have to win them all. You just have to win the one when the belt's on the line.
True.
And that's the thing. You're going to lose. You're going to fall, but you just got to keep going.
Yeah.
And again, sitting here as two guys in their 50s with kids and all that kind of stuff and, seeing how successful your kids have been, seeing the opportunity that my kids have in front of them and the things that they do, I enjoy talking about it because it just shows that possibility. Yeah. And it's not different. I don't care that it's 2025 and that, I graduated in 92 and you graduated a little earlier than me, but
89.
But it's it doesn't matter about the time. It matters about what you do with the time that you've got. This time's no different than any other. You still have to understand what your value is in the society in which you live, and you got to put it out there. And if it's truly a value, society will let you know. And if you're honest and you're doing something that's good, it's not hard to ask. But if you're trying to be a grifter, if you're trying to make something up, if you're saying, I want to be a physical therapist because I want to make a lot of money, I don't know if you're going to be really good at it. I don't know. Because you don't care enough about people, and that makes your touch a little different, Yeah,
I agree. My focus was always the money will take care of itself if I provide a great service.
Yeah.
And I think, your philosophy is the same. I think that's why you've been in business for 25 plus years. I don't know.
27.
I don't know any MMA gyms that have been in business that long. And for me to team up with JAG, I mean, it's just a great fit. Killer B and JAG Physical Therapy, that's why we continue to work together. I mean, I think we both bring the same ideals to the table.
Because we're just trying to create momentum to achieve the goals that we have.
Yeah.
That's the key. Like coming together as a grab is never going to work. Coming together, and we've talked about this. I think that the level of care that you provide my athletes just demonstrates the level of care that you provide. Like it's just, again, when you have some of the best athletes on the planet and what we do in a pretty hard contact sport, when we're choosing to not go other places. I've had things thrown at me to go to other places, but we don't because the care is not there.
Yeah.
The care is not there.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. So
that's the highest priority.
That's it.
There's nothing else that matches up with that. All the young therapists that come through that I get to speak with, I tell them interpersonal skills and technical skills. You marry them both, you're going to do great in here.
I wrote my book recently. I don't mean to do the plug of it, but I will. But The Hive Mind, I wrote my book. And one of the main aspects that I've come to understand in life, and that I'm really trying to get people to understand, freedom is not a financial thing. It's not an accumulation thing. It's a mastery of a skill thing. Because when you're a master of a skill set that people need, and people will always be in need of that skill, you will have always something to provide, which means you're never going to be dependent upon other people. And that's where the freedom comes from. Freedom is being extremely good at what you do, not grifting and accumulating. And that's like the main thing. And that's why, again, I keep saying it, but it's like, that's the parallel line that we run, is that you actually provide a real value in an honest way for people that are just trying to do big things or just try and get through their day. And that's why it works. Good stuff. That's why I want to sit down and I want to have this conversation again.
Yeah, been awesome.
So you want to shout anything out? You want to, first off, you got to share where your office is and then share where people can find out more information about JAG.
So with over 160 locations throughout New York, New Jersey, we're Monmouth County is where I treat out of the Oakhurst location on Monmouth Road. But check us out on jagpt.com. Look us up on Instagram. We're doing a lot of...
What's your Instagram handle?
I got to look it up. I can't remember. I've been off all social media. Bastard.
All right, I'll put a link on that. I'll put a link on this for you so you can do it. I caught you on that one.
Yeah.
But people could also reach out to you on your Instagram if they ever have any direct questions, because you're at Mike. Yeah. You don't even know.
You hit me.
You don't even know.
Nope. I've been off.
You did.
Call the office 732-660-1560.
All right.
But honestly, if you go on our website, jagpt.com, we have all our locations, all our contact information, everything's on there. So that's probably the easiest way to get to everything.
You went on a social media ban for how long?
It's probably been three months, three or 4 months now.
How much better do you feel?
I like it. My sleep scores improved right away. I read more books, listened to more podcasts. Communication skills with my wife improved. Instead of while we're talking, flipping, now I'm locked in. So yeah, I'm solid. I've stuck with it, and I definitely think it's...
I'm a big believer in social media blackouts from time to time. I told you before we started, if I didn't have a business, I probably wouldn't be on it, because it's the doom scroll that kills your day. You got to get off that thing.
I agree.
You got to give yourself room to actually become a master, because you can't master anything while you're sitting on your phone.
Yeah.
The only thing you can master is this.
On to the next.
Getting all mad because the algorithm is going to tell you what you love, and it's going to tell you what you hate, and it's going to keep you stuck in there, in the box.
Nice. It's nice to be free.
Nice to be free. Yeah. All right, Mike, I really appreciate you coming in. You've been an invaluable connection for my members, my athletes, anybody. My mom goes to you. You've helped my kids when they've had issues. You've helped everybody in my family when they've had physical problems. You've helped me as best as you can with the worst patient possible. Yeah. But even with that, the one thing you taught me 10 years ago was that posture fixes the majority of the problems that I have. Oof. And as I sit here with a terrible posture, I actually, when the neck goes bad and the back goes bad, I really do I still do the exercises you showed me, and they're the only things that get my neck and my shoulder to chill out.
That's good.
So,
I'm happy to hear that, and I appreciate the kind words, and the respect goes right back at you. You're a leader in your industry. I'm not talking in New Jersey or Monmouth County. I'm talking in the country and in the world. You're one of the best, and anytime I can send people your way, I always do, because I know they'll get what they should get, whether it's a recreational athlete or it's a high-level athlete. I know you're going to take care of them. So, yeah,
we treat all the people the same. We treat all the people the same. Yeah. That's what we do.
Yes, sir.
So this is Brian Wright with Mike Santamaria.
Yes, sir.
This is the Hive Podcast. Thanks for coming through. Follow the Hive on YouTube. You can find us through our Killer Bee page, killerbeecombatsports.academy, and also our beautiful brand new Built Like a Boxer location on blab.fit, because this is where we do our fitness and our boxing training. So Mike, again, thanks for coming through. And this is the Hive. We are
Thanks, everyone.
out.
See ya.